MASH, a series that followed the staff of an army hospital during the Korean War, hit the airwaves in 1972. Hugely popular, the dramedy was nominated for more than 100 Emmy Awards throughout its 11-season run, and its finale remains the most watched finale of any TV show. Britain's first woman Prime Minister, Conservative Margaret Thatcher, won against Edward Heath for the opposition party leadership, and won in 1975. She became Prime Minister in 1979. Dubbed the Iron Lady, she was known for her uncompromising leadership style and hardline politics. Famed journalist, activist, and feminist leader Gloria Steinem became a leading voice in the fight for women's liberation during the 1970s. During this decade, she founded the National Women's Political Caucus and the Women's Action Alliance. Following the Stonewall riots of 1969, the lesbian and gay men's movement gained traction in the United States during the 1970s. Marches like this one in Boston's Back Bay neighborhood became frequent occurrences, increasing the visibility of and demanding equality for the formerly ostracized group. The disco scene blipped in and out of popularity in the 1970s. Born in New York City, the movement provided a sense of liberation and freedom for the average American, and disco clubs provided a safe place where folks from all walks of life could gather to let loose. The Vietnam War came to a stunning and final end in 1975, when Saigon fell to communist northern Vietnamese forces. Here, the CIA helps a stream of Vietnamese evacuees flee via helicopter. Steven Spielberg's shark thriller Jaws premiered in 1975. The first summer blockbuster, the movie was also the highest-grossing film of all time when it was released, bringing in more than $100 million at the box office. Live from New York, it's Saturday Night. The classic sketch comedy show Saturday Night Live debuted in 1975. Although audiences' attitudes toward it were lukewarm initially, the series quickly found its footing. Around 4 million people still tune in each week to catch its incisive takes on politics and pop culture. In the 1970s, pioneering TV journalist Barbara Walters became the first woman to be named an official co-host of The Today Show and the first woman to co-anchor an evening news program. Here, she announces to viewers that she'll be leaving NBC for ABC, where she'd be hosting the evening news alongside Harry Reasoner, earning $5 million for 5 years. In 1974, the world population officially hit 4 billion. Some 50 years later, the population has nearly doubled, hitting 8 billion at the end of 2022. The Space Shuttle Enterprise was rolled out in 1976, not actually capable of spaceflight since it lacked both engines and a heat shield. The Orbiter spacecraft was pivotal in the development of the eventual Space Shuttle program and had a huge role in the popularization of space exploration with the average American. A national phenomenon, Roots, is a 1977 TV miniseries that tells the dramatized story of members of author Alex Haley's family tree, from their origins in Africa through their time as enslaved people in the South. The series was actor LeVar Burton's breakout role. So began George Lucas's groundbreaking 1977 space epic, Star Wars Episode IV, A New Hope. An instant hit, the film remains one of the highest-grossing films of all time. Microbiologist Herbert Boyer, his collaborator Stanley Cohen of Stanford, and venture capitalist Robert Swanson helped create today's biotechnology industry. In the 1970s, Boyer and Cohen became the first to clone DNA successfully and to figure out how to modify bacteria into human proteins, such as insulin and growth hormones, that could then be used for medicinal and therapeutic reasons. Together with Swanson, the duo founded Genentech, whose first product created a chemically synthesized gene for human insulin. Godfrey Hounsfield, an eccentric British engineer, developed the first CT scanner and scanned the first patient in 1971. By 2020, the machine was being used in hospitals worldwide to take detailed images of the brain and other parts of the body. Harvey Milk, one of the first openly gay men elected to public office, sat on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors for 10 months in 1978 before he was assassinated by a fellow politician who disagreed with his politics and lifestyle choices. Here, Milk sits in front of the Bay Area camera shop he owned. On August 16, 1977, Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll and one of the most significant cultural figures of the 20th century, died of a heart attack. At 42, Presley's death came as a shock to fans, many of whom refused to accept the fact of his death. The belief that the Heartbreak Hotel singer is still alive remains one of the biggest conspiracy theories of the past century. In 1978, the understanding of science and genetics took a huge step forward when the world's first test tube baby, a healthy girl named Louise Brown, was born in Oldham, England. Her arrival proved that in vitro, fertilization was a safe and feasible option for families who wanted to have children but were otherwise unable to get pregnant. On October 16, 1978, white smoke rose from the Sistine Chapel chimney, signaling the election of Pope John Paul II. The first non-Italian pope in 455 years, and the first Slavic pope, he remains the second longest-serving pope in history. The John Travolta dance drama Saturday Night Fever, released in late 1977, helped extend the lifespan of the disco scene, which was on its way out at the time. A commercial and critical success, the film and its soundtrack not only helped stem the decline of disco, but even helped it climb to greater heights of popularity in the mainstream. For 4 glorious years, between 1977 and 1980, New York City's Studio 54 Club was the epicenter of the country's nightlife and partying scene. A hedonistic playground where drugs, sex, and alcohol flowed freely and openly. The club was the place to be seen with celebrities like Andy Warhol, Bianca Jagger, Liza Minnelli, and any other big name you could possibly think of, making regular appearances. In 1979, Iran experienced a massive revolution, turning from a Western-favoring, secular monarchy to an anti-Western theocracy. At the end of the year-long upheaval, which had a massive effect on international politics, religious cleric Ruhollah Khomeini was put in power. The United States' ties with China are among the most important political and diplomatic relationships in existence. After President Richard Nixon visited the formerly communist country in the early 70s, much progress was made in the once frosty relationship between the nations. That progress extended beyond the political realm, edging into arenas such as education and culture. Since then, relations have become fraught, with many dubbing it the New Cold War. At the end of the decade, an American president, this time Jimmy Carter, once again met with a Soviet leader, Leonid Brezhnev, to sign another nuclear treaty. One of the most controversial agreements of the entire Cold War, the treaty aimed to resolve numerous issues left unaddressed by the Strategic Arms Limitations Treaty 1, like limiting the number of multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicle missiles that could be produced. By Christmas 1979, the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, and thus SALT II was never ratified. Roller skating was a hugely popular leisure activity in the 1970s. For the adult crowd, roller discos, which combined the activity of skating with the music and vibes of a disco, were a popular nightlife option. Though Dallas really got big in the 80s, the campy TV prime-time soap opera actually premiered in 1978. Centered around a feuding oil family, the Ewings, the show was known for its cliffhanger endings, over-the-top plot lines, and huge viewership numbers. In an event that attracted the attention of the world, more than 50 Americans were taken hostage at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, Iran, on November 4, 1979, by a group of Iranian students who supported the revolution. The hostages were held for 444 days, despite several rescue attempts, and only released when Ronald Reagan was inaugurated as the next president on January 20, 1981. The first personal computers began making their way into homes in the early 1970s. Machines like the Kenbach 1, the Wang 2200, and the Xerox PARC Alto were among the first mass-market options available to consumers with money to burn. In 1979, NASA sent 2 spacecraft, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, to get images of Jupiter. Together, the spaceships took more than 33,000 highly detailed images of the planet and 5 of its major satellites, expanding the understanding of the universe by leaps and bounds. In contrast to what's happening now, women were gaining rights to what they could do with their bodies in the 1970s. The Supreme Court established a woman's right to access abortion nationally with its decision in 1973. Despite the court's support, abortion services were not always easily accessible or available to women from all walks of life, which led to protests around the country. The first long-term missions to Mars began in the mid-70s, when 2 pairs of orbiters and landers, Viking 1 and Viking 2, touched down on and orbited the red planet. For years, the spacecraft crawled across the surface of the planet and circled it at the same time, sending pictures like this one back to scientists at NASA.